Good morning, students. Welcome to the virtual class of Gyaniketan Girls School. Today, we are going to start a new chapter in history, that is, nationalism in Europe. In this chapter, we will study that in the continent Europe, how the feeling of nationalism evolved. Now, here in Europe, different countries were involved, like France, Germany, Italy, Britain. And from this chapter, you will have a perspective of world history, that how it evolved, and the democratic rule that we are observing all around, how it came over the dynastic rule, how things changed. So, we will see about the emergence of nation state or model state. But before it, we all know that there was multinational dynastic empire, as you have studied, like for example, Ottoman Empire during Khilafat movement. Now, Ottoman Empire earlier was dynastic rule, and today it Turkey and its surrounding area were also included in Ottoman Empire. Earlier, there was dynastic rule without any fixed geographical boundary or territory, and there were rulers over there ruling. But as the feeling of nationalism grew in Europe due to that model state or modern state evolved, so how did it evolve? So, by replacing the multinational dynastic empires of Europe, monarchical form of government was replaced and nation state was evolved. And how this happened worldwide and mainly in Europe, we will see that now what were the challenges. So starting with the painting of Frederick Sorio. So painting of Frederick Sorio was seen. It was the painting that named as the dream of worldwide democracy and social republic. Worldwide, the country which became democratic or aspired to become democratic, what was their dream? He gave this a utopian vision, a dream which was being thought about and have not been fulfilled yet. So the painting clearly shows that how transformation was coming. You can see the Statue of Liberty and people in queue with different flags like France on and USA in front, and it got independence earlier than you will see Greece in line with golden red flag, means it is showed that in painting that there are many European countries which have moved towards independence. The one who passed Statue of Liberty means they have got independence. You can see on the ground itself in the front where you can see despotic symbols like crown and things belong to king. It shows that monarchy or dynastic rule have ended and countries will be democratic and republican soon. So it showed that change is coming in society, mainly in Europe, and he tried to show this through his painting. The chapter is dealing with Europe, that why chapter started with this painting, how the feeling of nationalism came, and what people thought about this feeling about having democracy and ending the monarchy. Now, starting with the very first unit, that is the French Revolution and the idea of nation. You already have studied about the French Revolution in previous year, so it is very easy for you all to understand it. This chapter is related to that. Now, French Revolution took place in 1789, and it was the very first incident where we saw the clear expression of nationalism. This incident ended the monarchical form of government and power shifted to people. The old system changed and new system was adopted. Now, here we are dealing with nationalism in Europe. So, with the perspective where nationalism spread in Europe, there France played a very prominent role. Why? Because France was the first step towards the feeling of this nationalism. Now, France became a nation, monarchy ended, republican form of government was introduced. It became a nation, but still there was a sense of collective identity that was to be developed. Sense of collective identity means in a country it is it tried to get all people together, unite people through a single entity. About this, you might have studied while studying nationalism in India. See, for example, like a nation developed but collective belonging in citizen was to be brought in. In India, also, it was seen that how to unite people, different things were done, different leaders were doing all those things different at different time, but basic framework was same. What I'm trying to say is that history is same monotonous, but the fact and figure changes. Now in France also, it got independence, but the sense of collective identity was still to be enhanced, and it still was to be installed among the people. So there were certain steps that were taken by the government in order to develop the sense of collective belongingness identity. In simple language, France has only has become democratic or republic, but the actual works now remains here. Now France have only become independent, it had become a nation, but the sense of common identity was to develop from where and how it was. Certain steps were taken by the government, like first, the idea of la patrie and la citoyen. These were the ideas which was used to develop sense of collective identity, belongingness. La patrie, fatherland, it means fatherland. That same as we have seen in India, that is India is our motherland. Same was used there as France was their fatherland. Citoyen, la citoyen means whatever religion, caste, creed you belong. First, you are citizen, same as in our country. So these terminologies were used in France and became popular. Now, French flag. Now, while dealing with nationalism in India, you might have studied that how our leaders worked towards the flag to bring the sense of collective identity. Same thing was seen in France. In France also, they prepared a national flag, and it was different with tricolor as our flag. Now, this was also brought in to bring the collective identity. That royal flag was replaced, and a new national flag, French flag, was introduced. Then, the formation of National Assembly was seen, a National Assembly that was formed. Now, recall the French Revolution previously, that there were state general which were removed and National Assembly was formed. All the above active citizens who voted together formed National Assembly, which became the symbol of new government, where new hymns were composed, oaths were taken, new terms were used to praise the government, new oaths were taken as they will do everything good in order to develop the system, in order to do everything good in this new system. So all these things were done. Then a centralized administrative system was set up so that people consider themselves as a part of one nation, one administrative system. Then internal custom duties and dues were abolished. Then same thing, it was seen that duties in different union, it was abolished and one single duty was adopted. So internal custom duty was abolished. Then uniform system of weights and measurements was brought in so that everything is uniform and people consider themselves as united and part of France. Then, after that, regional dialects were discouraged and French language was promoted. See, here language played a very important role. So, it developed a kind of sentiment among people that they belong to one nation. So, regional language were not much promoted, and French language was promoted so that people feel connected to France. So, all these steps were taken just to develop a collective identity. Now, it is formed now. Up till now, the feeling of nationalism in France, but it started to spread in other countries of Europe too, like Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, where nationalism was being spread, which resulted to change in the countries also. The change that was seen in France, that it became a nation, some feeling will develop, and the force of nationalism will grow more demanding for independence in different country. So spread of nationalism in France was seen as spread of nationalism in Europe, and from Europe it was spread to other countries, which where certain incidents were seen for change of monarchical to democratic form of government. Now, after this only, now the idea of France was spreading how through different organization political clubs like Jacobin club, where it was promoted, where the idea of republican government was promoted, and French armies began to carry these idea of nationalism abroad and to other countries, resulting in the coming of prominent personality, that is Napoleon Bonaparte, who was the military dictator who brought in the monarchical form of government again, and he became the king after the failure of dictator. He took over the power of France in his hand and conquered the other countries of Europe and spread it in other countries about the changes that were brought in. And what changes that were brought by Napoleon Bonaparte, that we are going to deal in next video. For now, thank you and have a nice day.